Welcome back, everyone. I got a treat for you today. Today I'm going to be reviewing two audio dramas, Vulkan's Shield and Fireborn, both part of the Tome of Fire series, which I reviewed several months ago. So let's just get right to it. Now, I've gotten both of them as MP3 downloads. At some point, you could have purchased Fireborn on a disc, and if I did, I would be showing it to you right now. But it's only available on the Black Library's website for a digital download. But if you really want it on a disc, I did find it on eBay for like over $50. If you want it, just get the download. But anyway, now both of these audio dramas was written by Nick Kime, the same writer of the Tome of Fire series. And soon after the first book in that series, Salamander, was published, the audio short, Vulkan's Shield, came out. Now, Vulkan's Shield is an audio short, so it's about 10 minutes long-ish, give or take a few seconds. And it's performed by Gareth Armstrong, Martin Ellis, and Jonathan Keble. Keble. I think it's Keble. And the story in this short actually takes place before the Salamander's book. And I remember when I was reading the Salamander's book, I was really curious about how they got into the events that started the book. Because in the beginning of that book, it starts out at the end of a major battle, and a very significant character ends up getting killed right at the beginning. So I was really hoping this audio short would explain what happened up to those circumstances, but I think we all know that I should really stop having expectations because those don't lead to anything good. What the story is really about is about the third company of Salamanders, Khotan Kadej, and his honor guard on a rescue mission on this one nowhere's planet somewhere in the galaxy. But the audio short isn't really about the battle that they're flying to, or even the people that they're rescuing. It's mainly focused about a conversation that's going on between Kadej and a friend of his who's from the Raven Guard chapter, who's came along to help. And the main point of this conversation is to try to figure out what does it mean to be a salamander, or Vulkan's Shield. Because when you go through the Tome of Fire series, they do seem to emphasize that the salamanders have a much stronger connection towards humans in other Space Marine chapters. And this conversation tries to tap into that. And if you haven't read the Tome of Fire series and wanted to start it off, this wouldn't be too bad of a way to start it off. The only problem that I have with the conversation that's the main theme of the audio short is that they have that conversation several times throughout the Tome of Fire series. And I've already read the entire series before I even heard this audio drama, so it didn't really have any kind of impact on me. So if you haven't read the series, it might not be a bad idea to listen to the short. It's not that expensive. And the voice acting was pretty good. But now let's move on to Fireborn. Now this audio drama is a little over an hour, about 80 minutes. And it takes place before the first and second books in the series, Salamanders and Fire Drakes, respectively. And again, I will admit, there was a little bit of expectations on this, because I've already read the series. And there seems to be a story that happens in between the first and second books that's never really explained in the Tome of Fire series, and I was really hoping this audio drama would explain it. But it didn't. It was kind of its own thing, which is fine. And this audio drama actually had one performer, Toby Longworth. And Toby Longworth's voice acting ability has a pretty huge range. For the most part, at least in all the other audio dramas I listened to that had him performing in it. In Fireborn, it sounds like he's doing the same voice for all the salamanders. They all just sound like they're all eating marshmallows, and each time they do a Snake Plissken voice. Sorry. They all sound like they're trying to do this deep, gruff voice while having their mouth stuffed with marshmallows. And if the narrator didn't specifically say who was talking at one point, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between any of the Space Marines in this one. In fact, speaking of the narrator, now I have heard more audio dramas than I've actually reviewed. Not a great amount. And for the most part, the narrator takes up a huge chunk of the script in all the audio dramas. This one seemed to be a lot more based with the narrator. At some point, it felt more like an audio book than a drama. But enough about nitpicking the technicals on this. What about the story? Well, you see, it's based around Sugan. You remember him from the first book, right? Who becomes very prominent throughout the entire series. At the end of the first book, he moved into a very elite first company of the Salamanders. And he's on a very special mission with this company to save a shrine world which is being defended by the Sisters of Battle from an invasion of chaos. And fortunately for Toby Longworth, the Sisters of Battle are from the Silent Sisterhood, so they can't speak, so he's not going to have to force himself to do a female voice. And there's not really too much to that story. Salamander's going to save the planet. Chaos and Sisters of Battle are fighting. Chaos is trying to get a very specific relic. Sisters of Battle and Salamanders are trying to protect a relic, and there's not really much more to it than that. It's fairly basic as far as story goes. It does seem to want to focus more on Sugan, or rather Sugan's anger and hatred for himself, which would have been a great way to expand on the character, except for the fact that it is done to death in the entire Tome of Fire series. So it just gets repetitive again here. And we never see this faction of Sisters of Battle at all throughout the Tome of Fire series. The specific faction of the Chaos Warriors that are fighting is never really mentioned at all throughout the entire Tome of Fire series. This was just a standalone story all by itself that had no real connection to the Tome of Fire series, except for the fact that the Salamanders were in there. In fact, I don't want to spoil anything. At the end of that audio drama, I couldn't really tell who won. I think it could have really gone either way. So overall, expectations aside, I did find it a little bit disappointing. And I had trouble understanding why it was even part of the Tome of Fire series if it didn't have any kind of connection to the Tome of Fire series aside from using the same chapter. It could have really helped expand the storyline, and it could have helped build up a lot of these characters, but it doesn't do that. So my overall verdict, if you're a big fan of the Salamanders, and if you just want to hear stories based on the Salamanders, Vulkan, Shield, and Fireborn, they're not going to be bad picks. If you just want to hear stories on the Salamanders. And if you're reading the Tome of Fire series, and if you're hoping this will help expand that series, well, they won't. As far as that goes, I wouldn't pick them up just for that. But if you just want to hear stories with the Salamanders in it, I'd say go for it. But as far as trying to complete the Tome of Fire series, I say you can just stay away from them. And while that's my opinion, take it for what it's worth.